Welcome guys to what is going to hopefully sooner than later be my new studio slash giant darkroom. Today we're going to be doing a thing, and that thing is hanging up this big 10-foot roll of Savage or Sauvage.
Les Français.
Seamless background paper using El Cheapo seamless background roller system. Got this off of Amazon. I do know that there are more expensive roller systems out there, but given my particular needs, I didn't want to spend that much money. We're going to talk about all that in just a second. I know for sure that I'm going to put the paper somewhere about right here to give me enough room to use longer focal length lenses, and I'm going to be putting my actual darkroom, my enlarger and everything there. So putting it up on this hanger system is really going to make it to where I can save a lot of space, only pull it down when I need it, and yeah, like I said, not make me sell a kidney. So while other me is talking about the roller system and the paper, that kind of stuff, I am going to be taking these boards out and then figuring out what we're going to need to do to actually mount that hanging system. Let's get to work. So, why seamless paper and why this kit? The biggest reason why I went with seamless paper, at least for the beginning here in the studio, is that I don't know how many portraits I'm actually going to be making. Is it going to be worth investing in some heavier cloth fabric backdrops? I just don't know. Seamless paper gives you a great, relatively low cost option to make a completely seamless background. As the name would suggest, it lets you hang it up, go all the way down to the floor, have your subject, whatever you happen to be shooting, in front of the paper, and there's no corners, there's no sharp angles. It's just a nice clean background. You can backlight it, you can use it with continuous light, with speed lights, anything you want. It's available in a lot of colors, and for me, it's the right choice. Now, why this kit? And yeah, it is the FOTODIOX or FOTODIOX 3-roller system. It's literally the cheapest 3-roller background system I could find on Amazon. It was about 60 bucks or just under. There are quite a few others out there from newer, from Cowboy Studios. I think Monfrado makes some. They're actually not that pricey considering some roller systems. I didn't want to go with the stand roller system. I wanted an actual pulley system so I can mount some different colored papers. Yeah, but 60 bucks kind of hard to pass up for what I'm going to be doing anyway. So what's in the box? What do you get for that $60 from FOTODIOX? You get these 2 roller holders. We'll talk more about that when we're actually hanging them up. You get 6 of these, and these are going to go into the end of your paper spool. My roll of paper actually has a big cardboard cylinder in there. If you don't have that, you might want to get something, you know, to put in there. You put these in each end, screw them in, they expand up against there. There is a pulley system here. Get a little chain for each one of them and a weight for each chain. And all you do is after you have this hung up, have your paper on there, you have the pulley system mounted, you just pull the chain to raise the paper, let it down to lower it. Actually pretty simple. We'll see just how simple it is in just a second when we actually try to mount this thing. Now the way this works is that you put one of these little mount system, little pulley things, in each end of your paper, each end of the roll, and you screw this, and that's going to make that expand up against the cylinder, and that's what holds your paper. Something I was really happy to see is right here, this little lip that seats down onto the mount. This is adjustable. So you don't have to be, trust me, it does move. Yeah, there we go. So you can have a little bit of play when you're mounting this, and that's really going to come in handy here in just a second, so we don't have to be exactly dead on with our measurements. Oh, and I'll go ahead and add this, folks. One of the reasons why I decided to take you along with me while I hang this up, I'm not a carpenter or anything, so I'm not an expert, is because the instructions that you're gifted with this kit from FOTODIOX. They're some of the worst instructions that I've ever saw. You could almost call them destructions. It's kind of hard to make sense of. Luckily, it should be a straightforward installation, so we're not even going to act like these instructions exist while we hang this thing up there. So that is what was in the box. Let's talk about the few things that you're going to need to actually hang this up depending on your own application. Other than the kit itself, these are the things that you are going to need at minimum to hang these rollers on a wall or on your ceiling. The first thing is your mounting hardware. This is what comes with the seamless paper background hanging kit. These are actually little compression bolt thingies. They're made primarily to be put into concrete, put into metal walls, that kind of thing. We're not going to use those. Instead, I have dug up just some old wood screws I've had lying around. These should work just fine. Now, of course, your hardware is going to be dependent greatly on the type of material that you're going to be hanging these roller mounts onto. Of course, I'm using wood, so I'm using these wood screws. If you're putting it into drywall, anything like that, you'll definitely want to have some little plastic anchors to help secure your hardware if you don't have a stud to screw them into. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. We're going to need a bubble level. This little small torpedo-sized bubble level will work just dandy. Want to make sure everything is nice and level. A screwdriver of some sort. In our case, I'm going to cheat a little bit and use a drill. And that's really about it. So aside from just the logistics, which I think may end up being a nightmare of getting everything up here leveled by myself, you really don't need that much to hang this sucker. It is hot up there, guys. I'll have to rig up that cooling system probably sooner than later. Sorry, so I've opened up this whole area here. Made a lot of extra space. I'm almost going to certainly be mounting those rollers to this right here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this beam here and that beam right up there, this one overhangs a little bit more than that one, maybe about 1.5 inches or so. So I'm going to presumably take this guy right here off. It's just held up there with some nails, because I think that's going to equal out that space. Going to cut that in half and then use that to mount up the bottom portion of those roller mounts. We'll see how that goes. So the first thing we are going to do is take the paper and put each one of those ends of the rollers into the paper, tighten them up, and then hold it up there and measure off 107 inches from end to end. Because this paper turns out it's not 10 foot, it's 8 feet 11 inches. I don't know where I got 10 foot, but 9 will work just fine. So anyway, the idea is we're going to get the paper out, see exactly how wide it's going to be in relation to where we're going to be mounting it, and then once we have that decided, I'm going to attach those 2 little spacers up here, put one of those roller holders up there, get it good and level, put one end of the paper onto that holder, stretch it all the way over to this other side here, figure out exactly where we need to mount that other holder. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it with one pair of hands. So yeah, God hates a coward. Beautiful white, very nice. I'm going to leave the plastic on here and then just poke some holes here in the end and then put these little roller systems right up in there. Nice. Just a super quick FYI, if you decide to do this yourself, I want the paper to go over the top of the roll. Kind of like the only way you need to be hanging your toilet paper. And to do that, and just to have I want the pulley system where I actually have the chain over here on this side. I think it'll be a little bit more space. To do that, pay close attention to the way that your paper is actually on the roll. You can see now it's going over the top like that. So I put the actual chain link, or the chain drive part of the pulley, down here on this side. So when we hang this up, the pulley is going to be over here, paper is going to go over the top, and everybody's going to be happy. Got the two spacers mounted here. Hopefully that's going to do what we need it to do. So now, all we've got to do is probably the hard part. Take this, put it on this guy right here, mount that one, and then go all the way over here and do the same thing to this side, and then get our level and make sure it's leveled out before we actually bolt it down. So let's do that. It's fairly level. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So get the paper, probably hang it in this one right here. A little bit easier to get it up over to this side. Probably hang it on this bottom rung, at least for now. I can always change that up later. So I've ran into just a minute operational hiccup, but I think I've got it figured out. I got the roll of paper to seat in that holder, but it was incredibly difficult for me to hold it up and get it seated. But after that, there was just no being able to get back down from this chair to get over here to support this other side, and I just thought it would break off this plastic piece, which I'm sure it would. So I've got this little bar tucked up in there. I'm going to put the end of the paper on that to kind of give me a second set of hands while I put it onto that holder, and then I'll move back over here and do that one. Alright, so mischief managed on that. Ended up having to switch out the pipe for a board here. The other one just wasn't cutting the mustard. One thing I did forget to mention on the equipment list for this is something to mark the spot that I'm going to be placing this next holder. That way I think it's going to make it a lot easier to get that thing seated. That looks pretty slick. Went ahead and put this roll in that second rung. A lot of height on that. One thing I did kind of slip up on, maybe by about a ½ inch. I can't put the roll on that very top roller. I don't think I'll ever have a need for more than 2 rolls on here, especially since I have a black wall back here I'm going to use for any kind of dark background. Anyway, if I have to, I can always just take a few of these screws out, move the entire mount down by about 1 inch, and that'll take care of that problem. But like I said, looks good. Extremely solid. Next, I'm going to mount up the chain onto that pulley so we can raise and lower. This kit comes with 3 different color chains. They are made of plastic. I've heard that they can kind of be finicky, but we'll see how that goes over time. And I believe I'm going to just go with the classic black, at least for this first one here. So yeah, let's get that mounted up right there. Okay, so these chains are going to work kind of like a bicycle chain, or to maintain some photography relevance, just like a sprocket hole on a roll of 35mm film. Anyway, you loop these into these little sprockets and try to do this one-handed. Can I do this one-handed? Well, of course we can. All right. Trying to get that broken. There we go. Now we're through. And I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Okay, so just pull down, hopefully on this, and look at that. At least some measure of success here. All we're going to do, pull this all the way down through, try to keep that on track. And remember those weights? Probably have to have two hands to do that. I'm going to clip this weight right here. Well, if I may say so myself, looks pretty nice. Now I have one more thing to do that's really not anything to do with the actual installation per se, but it's going to make this thing a lot more functional. We're going to put this little wooden, about 8-foot piece of molding down here at the bottom, so it'll be easier to grab a hold of, and I'm going to use these clamps to hold it, but it will also weight that down, so it's a little bit easier to keep it out, to have a nice, smooth, easy, seamless background. Okay, so let's pro-con this, shall we? I've got everything done. The paper's hung, all that stuff is good. Pros, extremely solid. I couldn't ask for this thing to seem like it was stronger. I almost thought about doing a pull-up from it. Just kidding, I really can't do pull-ups anymore. But I don't suggest you do that. That being said though, it's extremely sturdy. Couldn't be happier with it. I'm so glad I went with this big 9-foot piece of paper. Gives me a lot of room, a lot of opportunities to work depending on what I'm going to be doing. Overall, the install was incredibly easy. If I wouldn't be stubborn and ask a buddy to help me, it would have been extremely easy. It was a little ungainly getting this stuff, hung up there, but I got it done. So with 2 people doing it, be a piece of cake. I can already tell I'm gonna get a lot of mileage out of having this pure white. Like I said, I've got that black wall already. I can work with that, but the convenience of having white is that depending on the way you light it, you can make it virtually any shade of gray. Wow. I know, pretty cool, right? That's why these white backgrounds are so versatile. If you just know a little bit of basics of lighting, you can make it almost black. You probably could make it black, but then you would need just this huge thing, but I digress. Now, a couple of things to be aware of, at least a couple of things that I've noticed right off the bat here. I don't think those chains are quite as flimsy as some other people maybe have made them out to be, but they're not the strongest either. I could see myself maybe way down the road switching out the plastic chains for maybe a full metal, maybe a Manfrotto chain. I know that they make a similar system, so I may switch it out for a metallic chain, but who knows. Along those same lines, I have experienced the paper wanting to keep on going when I pull it down. And like I said, that may be something due to the extra weight I have on the bottom. It may get some extra momentum going. As of right now, I have added another weight to the chain. That seems to fix the problem. But who knows? Like I said, it may be something I can adjust on the rollers, and that's not even going to be an issue. But even as it stands, it's really not that big of a deal to me. Oh, and something else I wanted to add. So far I've been talking about this as it pertains to seamless paper. This thing should work with virtually any kind of backdrop, as long as you have the material somehow affixed to a cylinder, maybe, I don't know, a little copper pipe or something, And I don't think that's going to have any trouble holding that. This is the 9-foot piece of paper. It's kind of hefty. They make them a lot smaller, so they would be even lighter. So I think if you have like a 5x7 backdrop, whether it's canvas, muslin, anything like that, I don't think this will have any trouble at all handling that for you. So you can use it with things other than paper, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, now here's the good part. I want to let you know virtually down to the dollar how much I have spent all in on this whole backdrop system. The 3-roller holder itself was $59.95 off of Amazon, under 60 bucks. Itself, now the paper, that's the 107-inch by 12 yards. That's 107 inches across, 8 feet 11 inches, so just under 9 feet across. 12 yards, that's 36 feet long, so that's a lot of paper on there. I gave $89.95 for that, I don't know, about a month or so ago. It has went up. I just checked. I think it's about $25 higher, but I'm just factoring in what I've actually spent on that. The 8-foot piece of wood molding that I have on the bottom, that was $6.76. I bought 10 clamps at 98 cents a piece. I only used 5 of them, so that's all I'm going to tally in. So just for that stuff, $183.02. I'm not counting the screws because I already had those. Anything else? So if you want to add in tax and everything, I think it would be a safe bet that we came in a good bit under 200 bucks, just depending on where you get this stuff from. And speaking of that, like I said, I've pieced this together across a lot of things. The paper, I would probably recommend getting off of Amazon. These rollers, if you want to go with those, I highly recommend getting those off of Amazon, just because, like I said, they're under $60. The clamps, they're on Amazon too, but I went down to Home Depot a few minutes ago, got them for like 98 cents a piece. I don't think you can probably beat that on Amazon, especially if you have some kind of home improvement store near you. What else? That's really it, guys. The reason I wanted to do this is because I don't see too many, actually hardly any videos talking about the install on this thing. And when you look at those instructions, man, it'll make the back of your head blow off. I've never seen instructions so vague and utterly useless. So anyway, I'm rambling again. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions, especially in the long term, as time goes on, how this thing performs, let me know down there in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll try to answer any questions that I can. So until next time, guys, I am Adam Welch. Thanks again for being here.